Hello, boys and girls. This is Pa. Are you ready for another bedtime story? You are? Great. Have you brushed your teeth? Well done. And you've got your jammies on. Now hop up onto that bed, grab Teddy, and snuggle in as we get ready for another bedtime story with Pa. Tonight's story, Santa's Watching. It was a warm December evening on Uncle Jez's farm. Now the sky was painted pink and orange as the sun dipped down behind the paddocks. The fairy garden twinkled softly near the big gum tree. The chickens had gone to bed, and the grandchildren were all still outside, squeezing every last bit of fun out of the day. Addie and little Elsie were in the fairy garden, arranging tiny toys and flowers under the fairy lights. Miller and Poppy were racing around the yard with ribbons tied in their hair, pretending to be Christmas reindeer. Louis was toddling after them, laughing and singing little nursery rhymes to himself. Sonny and Jax were helping move some hay bales, pretending they were building Santa's secret workshop. Inside, Nan was setting out dinner, and Pa was sitting on the veranda in his favourite chair, watching all the children play with a smile on his face. Then suddenly, Pa looked up. A tiny red robin had landed on the railing beside him. Around its little leg was a rolled-up note, tied with shiny green ribbon. "Well now," Pa said gently, picking up the note. "This looks important." Nan came outside, wiping her hands on her apron. "Who's that from?" she asked. Pa opened the note, cleared his throat, and read aloud. "Dear Pa and Nan, I'm very busy at the North Pole getting ready for Christmas, and I need your help. Please keep an eye on all the grandchildren and remind them that Santa is watching. I'm looking for kindness, sharing, helping hands, and Christmas cheer. I'll be checking in very soon. Love, Santa." Nan's eyes grew wide. Santa himself. Pa grinned. "You heard the man. Santa's watching." The children came running over at once. "Watching who?" asked Poppy, her eyes huge. "All of us," said Miller, standing very still. "Even me?" asked Louis, pointing to his own chest. "Especially you," Pa said with a chuckle. Addie looked up at the sky. "Do you think he's watching right now?" Pa leaned in and whispered, "I reckon he could be watching this very minute." The children all gasped and stared up into the evening sky, half expecting to see Santa peeking over a cloud. The next morning, Pa stood on the back steps with Nan beside him and announced, "Right-ho, everyone, since Santa's watching, we're going to have a kindness challenge today. "What's that?" asked Jax. "It means," said Nan, "that every one of us has to do kind things all day long without being asked." "And," added Pa, "Santa's Robin will report back tonight." That was all the grandchildren needed to hear. They scattered across the farm, determined to show Santa just how helpful they could be. Addie took little Elsie by the hand and said, "Come on, Elsie, let's make the fairy garden look beautiful for Santa." Together, they picked tiny flowers, straightened the fairy doors, lined up the little fairy toys, and hung shiny ribbons through the branches. Elsie carried petals in her tiny hands and dropped them carefully around the fairy swing. When they were finished, the fairy garden looked magical. Nan came out and put a hand over her heart. "Oh, girls, it looks beautiful." Addie smiled proudly. "That's for Santa." Miller and Poppy decided their kindness job would be to help inside. They set the table for Nan, folded tea towels, and even helped sort the washing into little, neat piles. Poppy was very serious about it all. "Santa likes neatness," she announced, folding one tea towel into a very lumpy square. Miller laughed and refolded it. "I think Santa will still count it," she said. Then they made Christmas cards for everyone in the family. One for Pa, one for Nan, one for Addie, one for Elsie, one for Louie, and one for Sonny and Jax. Poppy drew Santa with a giant beard that took up nearly the whole page. Louie wanted to help too, even though he was little. He toddled around the house, carrying one spoon at a time to the kitchen table. "Helping," he said proudly every time he delivered one. Then he sat on the rug and sang, "Twinkle, twinkle, Christmas star." It wasn't exactly the right song, but Nan clapped anyway. "That'll make Santa smile for sure," she told him. Louis beamed. Out in the shed, Sonny and Jax were helping Uncle Jezza stack timber and tidy up tools. They worked very hard, carrying little bits and pieces, sweeping sawdust, and lining up things as neatly as they could. Jax held up a hammer. "Do you think Santa would hire us for his workshop?" he asked. "If you keep cleaning like that, he just might," said Uncle Jezza. Sonny puffed out his chest. "I'd be good at making toy race cars," he said. "And I'd make dinosaur scooters," said Jax. By lunchtime, the shed looked so tidy that Uncle Jezza could actually see the workbench again. After lunch, the wind began to blow. Dark clouds rolled in, and before long, the farm was wrapped in rumbling thunder and big fat raindrops. "Oh no," cried Addie, "the fairy garden." The children raced outside just as the rain began pelting down. Fairy cushions were blowing away, little toy teacups were filling with water, and one of the fairy lights had fallen into the grass. "We have to save it," shouted Miller. So out they all ran through the rain. Addie and Elsie picked up the fairy toys and tucked them into a basket. Miller and Poppy gathered the ribbons and tiny chairs. Sonny and Jax carefully carried the fairy swing under cover. Louis stood on the veranda yelling, "Hurry, hurry, wet fairies." Pa laughed so hard he nearly dropped his hat. When the children finally came back inside, they were dripping wet from head to toe. Nan took one look at them and said, "Oh my goodness, you're all soaked." "But we saved the fairy garden," Hattie said, brushing wet hair out of her face. Pa nodded proudly. "Santa will like that. Looking after something special together." Nan wrapped them all in fluffy towels and made warm hot chocolates with tiny marshmallows floating on top. Louis got a milk moustache. Poppy got marshmallows stuck to her chin. Jack sneezed 3 times in a row. And everyone agreed it was the best rainy afternoon ever. Good night, children. Sweet dreams. And don't forget, Pa loves you.